everyone, so today I'm going to be doing my review on the Etude House Double Lasting Foundation. This is one of the many foundations I got in my most recent Rosy shop haul, and I definitely wanted to try these out because this is one of those foundations that I feel like has a few more color options than most Korean foundations. There's still not a whole lot and they don't go super deep, but there are more color options to choose from in this line, so I definitely wanted to give this a try and see what I thought about this foundation. I believe this foundation has been out for a little bit, and they recently came out with a new kind of version of this foundation, which I'm also going to be reviewing in a couple of weeks, and that one is the Serum Double Lasting Foundation. So I wanted to try the original one first so I could kind of compare those two, so definitely be looking out for that video in the next few weeks. So I got mine from Rosy Shop, and I believe I paid about $11 and change for it. I think it was definitely under 12 bucks. So not bad for a foundation. It comes in a really nice glass frosted bottle, and it has a pump on it, so I really love that. It just makes makeup application so much more convenient and also keeps the product a lot more sanitary. So I got the color Rosy Pure. That one is P2, so I think that's the pink 2 version. I believe they have these colors in pink and yellow options. They might also have neutral. I'll have to double check and put the color range here so you can see all the colors that they offer. So I will get into an application clip showing you guys what my skin likes before and after, and just kind of what I think about this foundation. This foundation is 30 grams of product and it has SPF 34 in it. So I'm just gonna get started and apply it and see what I think about it. So really quickly, I'm going to apply just some of my primers I like to use. So for now, I'm using the Perfect Pore Primer. I mainly just apply this kind of like to my cheek area and a little bit more of like the perimeter of my face, because this is much more of like a hydrating type of primer. So I'm applying that, and then I'm doing just a little bit of the Cover FX Blurring Primer, just kind of across my nose and a little bit on my cheek area. Okay, so now on to the foundation. I love that this has a pump, so I'm just going to apply one pump of that to the back of my hand, and I'm gonna take my little makeup brush just to kind of get it on my face. I don't really like applying foundation with brushes, but they're easy to get it like on the skin, and then I like to blend with this. So that's what I'm going to do. So you can see a little bit of that color. That is the Rosy Pure color. To be honest, I'm a little surprised. Usually a lot of Korean foundations only come in a couple shades, and whenever they do, usually the lightest one always works for me. I think this one definitely works for me, but it might be like just the tiniest bit light for me. But overall, I still think it works pretty well, and I'm glad that there are a little bit more lighter options, because sometimes there's not a whole lot. I know it's really hard for anyone to find foundation colors, so if you're a super fair, this one is a good one because it is a little bit more of a lighter color. So for now, I'm just applying the foundation to one half of my face. That way you can kind of get an idea of how it looks real time on the bare side of my skin and the side with the foundation. Okay, so now that I have one side done, you can see this is definitely what I would consider of like medium to full coverage foundation. I feel like it really evens out the skin a lot. You can see the difference here. But overall, like, it matches my skin very well, but whenever I apply this all over my skin, it does give my face a very like flattened look, you know, very two-dimensional. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply it to the other side and come back and tell you more about what I think about it. Okay, so this is the foundation all over my skin. Like I said, it kind of gives me that really light, like very flat look to my face, which is not a big deal because I always contour and, you know, apply blush and things like that. And that also could be that the color is like just a tiny bit light for me, but overall I think it matches pretty well. So definitely something that I wouldn't just like wear on its own. If I want something really quick, I usually like things that are a little bit slightly more yellow toned, just because it gives a little bit more life to my skin, because this one is like a pink toned one. I believe they do have like yellow, neutral, and pink tones in their shade ranges, but I would definitely consider this like a full coverage foundation. As far as how much I used, I ended up using about 1.5 pumps to do my whole face. So I haven't applied any concealer or anything else yet, so I'm gonna do that, and I will come back with the finished look and share with you guys my overall thoughts on this foundation so far. Okay, so this foundation has been on my skin for about 3.5 hours now. So this is about, I think, the 3rd or 4th time I've worn it, so I kind of have an idea of what I think about this foundation so far. Number one, I would definitely categorize this as a medium to full coverage foundation. I definitely think it gave a lot of really good coverage. I didn't really feel like it was necessary to add concealer, although I always do. I feel like you could totally skip concealer with this type of foundation. It does have more of a matte finish as well, which is another thing I don't find is super common with a lot of Korean foundations. I feel like a lot of the time in Korean like beauty trends, it's very trendy to have more of like a hydrated, dewy kind of look to the skin. So this one's definitely a little bit different than that. Another thing about this foundation, I find that it dries very quickly, so I think you definitely need to work fast as well. I would suggest applying this to certain like quadrants of your face, like just work on this little side and then apply some here and blend it all in and then work on this side, you know, just so that it doesn't dry on your skin, because I did find that this one was a little bit more of a faster drying one, and I find that tends to be the case with a lot of matte foundations. Another thing I have to mention that is a very big part of this foundation is the scent of it. Now, I personally like the scent of this foundation. If I had to describe it, to me it smells like laundry, like really strong, fresh, clean laundry. Like kind of like a sweet laundry smell, and boy is it strong. I think that this is probably the strongest foundation scent-wise I have ever tried. So if you are extremely like sensitive to scents in your foundations, I would say stay away from this one, because most scented foundations, I can definitely smell it when I'm applying it, but you know, then, you know, after it dries or it sets, you know, you can't really smell it. This one I can smell for a good couple hours after I have applied it. It is definitely super, super strong, but I like the scent of it. So I don't mind that personally, but if you do not like scented foundations, I would say stay away from this one. So as far as this foundation, what do I think about it? So far, I have, like I said, I've only used about 4 times or so, but I think that's a good amount of time to like really know if I like it or not, and I think I really do like this foundation. I personally like to use a glowing kind of like setting spray, like the one I've been using lately is from NYX. This one is called the Dewy Finish Spray. I didn't apply it today because I wanted to just let you see how the foundation is, and of course I'm wearing like highlighter and blush and stuff like that, so it gives a little bit more glow than what the actual foundation itself does, but overall I really like it. I definitely think it's good if you have a lot more discoloration that you want to cover up. It definitely gives a lot of coverage. And another thing I like about this one is it doesn't necessarily get that breakup kind of look at the end of the night. There are a ton of foundations that I use that I really like when I first apply it, but then the end of the night it looks really, really bad on my skin, mainly because I have really dry skin, so any kind of dryness really tends to show up on my skin a lot. This is one that I find doesn't look that bad at the end of the night. For me personally, there's always going to be just a little bit of like a dry kind of look to it, but especially for a lot of the other ones I've tried, this one is nowhere near the worst, and I find that it doesn't really sink into my pores too bad. Now I do use a pore filling primer under a lot of my foundations, so that's also one thing that could help, but as far as that, I feel like it doesn't sink into my skin too badly. So overall, I would give this a buy. I think it's a really good option if you do like more fuller coverage foundations. This would work good, I think, for oily skin as well, because it does have a more matte texture to it and it dries down a little bit flatter. So I feel like if you do have oilier skin, this could be a good option for you. Or of course, if you have dry skin as well, like I do, I would just recommend putting on a little bit of face oil, you know, the night before or something, just to really hydrate your skin. But yeah, so if really scented foundations don't bother you, then this could be a good option for you. And of course, there are more color options than most Korean foundations. So if you do have a little bit of a deeper skin tone, there might be a few shades for you, but again, it's still extremely, extremely limited, and I wish that wasn't the case. But you know, at least there's more options than a lot of other ones, because honestly, so many like BB creams and foundations in Korea really come in like 2 colors, and it's just like white and like slightly white. So that is it for my review of the Etude House Double Lasting Foundation. Like I said, I've got many more foundation reviews coming over the next few weeks, so definitely be looking out for those. And yeah, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, link is below. Until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.